Hey, you guys, and welcome to another amazing episode of The Mental Game. Yes, The Mental Game. I'm so excited to have this amazing guest on here, just full of life, full of beauty. Met her at a women's conference, and it has just been amazing since then. So, I'm going to allow you, please just introduce yourself to the podcast game.
Well, thank you, Coach, for even allowing me to be on this podcast. I'm honored and I'm thankful that our paths did cross at that women's conference that we were at in Birmingham. But my name is Sierra Jones, and I'm a coach currently looking for the next coaching job. ESL teacher, English as a second language. I'm an author, fitness model, and CEO of a nonprofit.
All of that. Y'all better go. That's what I love about our women, baby. We can do it all. Yes, yes, yes. And going into that, I want to just jump right into it first. What did you think about the last finals with the LSU and everything? Just what's your thoughts on that?
You said with the last finals and what?
The LSU game and South Carolina, just your general thoughts on how everything has conspired from the last couple of months.
Look, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved what LSU brought. They just brought more people watching the women's game. I
Mhm.
was hurt. I wanted to be LSU versus South Carolina. I think everybody wanted to be that, but I was really happy though for LSU. Now, of course, everyone was talking about the altercation with the trash talking. That was like the big. But look, I'm the type. Even when I coach my girls, I'm the type that I'm like, well, look, the best way to shut somebody up is to win. Point on the scoreboard. I'm not much of a trash talker, but I wasn't mad at what Angel Reese did because it was the same thing that was done to her. No one really said anything. Then she did, and it got blown up. But I loved it. That's how you compete, and men do it all the time, and it's okay. But it's like women do it, and it's like that's not ladylike. So I love the energy. I just loved everything about it.
Love it. I am the same here, and I'm glad you went into that because you guys know too on the mental game. We talk about the barriers and the disparities between men and female sports and how we're perceived as women on that. So we're gonna jump into the mindset part. You said that one of the biggest things is she continued to push for Angel Reese, and it's just a part of the game. So with that being said, when you coach, what were some of the things that you went on in detail about your players when it came to mindset?
So main thing was like effort. So I called it like a B3 player. You got to believe in yourself, effort, encourage, and enjoy. So those are like the four things I really preached big time. Because as we know, I don't know the exact percentage, but the game is almost pretty much. It's sorry, hold on. The game is all mental. It's
Definitely
physical.
90%, as they say, 90%, 10% physical.
Yeah, yeah. And so with my girls, and especially, I preach the B3, but in that effort, it was no longer what you're doing basketball wise or what you're speaking into your mind. They encourage.
Mhm.
That's where it came into play. I'm encouraging them, but you also as an athlete, even as a coach, we got to know how to encourage ourselves. We're not
Right,
always going to have that coach that's like your cheerleader. You might have the opposite or your teammates. They're not always going to be encouraging. Let's just call it what it is. But
def
fact that you can encourage yourself when you miss that shot, you can be like, all right, I'm gonna make this next one. You know what I mean? That I think that is what separates also not only the work ethic, talent, all different stuff, but a good player from a great one. They know how to encourage themselves.
I love what you said. It comes within too. It's not just the coaches, it's not just your teammates, but it's something you gotta be willing to encourage yourself as well. And with that being said, I heard you say it won't always be your coach, won't always be the player. So I know you was able to play OCs and, play in different aspects. Can you kind of explain a little bit about that of where you're at? Because guys, if y'all not following her, I want y'all to make sure y'all are following her. Grow when it comes into the fitness sport she has going on. But I know one of your amazing posts you talked about having to overcome some insecurities and things. So what was that and how was it like to encourage your own self? What did you experience?
Yeah, I mean, I just turned 27 years old, but that was back in college when I was probably 19, 20. So like my sophomore year around there. And just the coach that I had, he just was verbally abusive. I call it what it is.
Mhm.
And every day it was a mental battle every single day. And that one day he called me to my office. I had a great freshman year. Now my sophomore year was a little wasn't that good. And anyway, like the middle of the season, he brought me to his office. He was trying to figure out like why I wasn't doing that well. So he was looking at my stats, all the different stuff. But when I walked into the office, because I knew what the meeting was gonna be about, um, he instead had pictures of me on his computer screen, and it was pictures from like high school, freshman year, current year,
Mhm.
and he had like one of those little pointer things that you point at the screen, and he started pointing at everything he thought was wrong with my body. He was like,
Wow.
"Your calves are too big. Look at your butt; it's too big. Your shoulders are too muscular. I think this is why you're not performing well. You're too big." And I've always been very muscular built. I've just it's also hereditary, but also I work hard in the weight room. And he thought that was the reason why I wasn't performing well, which he didn't know. He was the reason why I wasn't performing well. I let him get in my head. But anyway, so I knew as an athlete, we can't starve ourselves. You're not going to perform well. I
Definitely.
knew I couldn't do a quick fix to change my body. So what I decided to do is I wore bigger clothes. I hid myself. I
Mm.
did not look in the mirror. I could have worn a small. Instead, I was ordering like team stuff. I was
Right.
ordering XL, large, sometimes 2XL. I wasn't allowed to lift with the team. I was with them, but I was given a very abbreviated workout. Basically, it was like all body weight stuff. And then on top of that, I had to weigh in 3 times a week. It tore me up. It messed me up completely. To a point that when I finally graduated, when I went to Spain, I started because the clothes that I brought was from Belmont, and I was starting my eyes started. I'm like, man, these are really big clothes. Like, was I really wearing this in college? Even looking back, I've called one of my friends and said, "Why did you let me?" Like, I learned I had some really true friends who hung around me because I looked awful. Well, you
Wow.
imagine it. I mean, I had really bad the picture I posted on Instagram, you can kinda get I mean, it's not cute. It's huge baggy sweatpants with a
Mhm.
big old shirt. I mean, truly hiding the figure that I had. I've always honestly been the same size. I mean, in college, I probably had more muscular build on me, but always been lean and fit, and,
Yeah.
I just couldn't see it. I let those words that he said to me in the office, it truly traveled with me all the way up to, I would say, 2021. I remember I was in a relationship at the time, and I know God used him at that moment. He looked at me one day, I'll never forget it. He was like, "Sierra, you have a nice body. It's like time you actually wear clothes that fit you." And
Wow.
I remember I was teaching at my old high school at Madison Academy, and you had to order a teacher T-shirt, and I said I would order a small to see if I could fit in it. And when I put it on, I started bawling. I just cried.
Wow.
I cried like a big old baby. I didn't know. I mean, that was like so this was 20 almost 5, 6 years later
Yeah.
that I'm realizing that, hey, you can wear small.
Mhm.
It
No,
just was
that
big.
is courageous.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's bigger than that. So honestly, that picture I posted, that outfit I wore, it meant a lot to me because even like this outfit I'm wearing now, my arms are out. That's something that I would have never done because I was trying to hide myself. I just
Oh,
didn't like me. So going to your question, now long story short,
no, that was great.
but just I really had to learn how to like me, and that
Mm.
was through God. That was through actually weight room. The weight room became like my legit place of self care, self love, because
Mhm.
when you're in the weight room, it's actually I think it's therapeutic because when you go back in the next day, if you do the same exercise, you can see if you've gotten stronger or not, if you can lift more weight or if you can do more sets or whatever. And it became just a happy place for me. When
Wow.
it was a place, for instance, that I wasn't able to do it. Like someone stripped something away from me that you really love. I
Mhm.
couldn't lift. And that was for a little minute, like 1 or 2 years, because then we got a new coach my senior year. So yeah.
Wow. Just kudos to you. Hate that happened for a coach to be able to breathe those words. But you guys, this is the mental game. That's why we speak about these things because all coaches, we're going to be honest, are not really available and needed to be a coach. Everybody can't coach. It's a hard thing.
Mhm.
It's a mental thing. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to empower female athletes and coaches with the mental game to understand and know it's not for everybody. But also from her story, athletes, it's okay. We all struggle through something. We all struggle through those body images. She just informed you guys and looks great. Body looks great. Like she just don't know. I've been taking screenshots of her exercise and I've been in the gym. Yes, I've been
Appreciate
in.
the support.
So you are inspiring people. And that's the thing. You never know how what you've grown through helps someone else. Because I'm
Mm.
seeing you do it and you putting it so easy for me. I be in there like on the phone on the gym, be like, okay, she said do this. Let me do this jump rope. So I thank you for inspiring me to get back in there because of sports. We all play, like you said, through sports, but as you get older, that determination can sometimes die out. And that was me with sports. And I'm like, I'm doing so much. I kind of let me go, but now I have to be that empowerment and show other women too that hey, you still can get out there no matter your age, at that nature, just go get it. So athletes understand you gotta get help. You gotta talk to somebody. She spoke of self-care. Self-care is so huge when you got to that point of it. So you said now transitioning. That was just a few years ago.
Mhm.
So what are you doing now, currently just within your community or things that you're doing just to make you happy?
Well, that's a good question. And to be honest with you, I'm still learning what self-care looks like.
Wow.
And I wish, like looking back, even as just college athlete, I wish that this was talked about more because it's
Yeah.
not, especially even with the African American community,
Mhm.
it's not talked about enough. You know what I mean? Taking time off for yourself, like it's okay. Like it actually is okay.
Why
But
you think we don't talk about that a lot, being even on the coaches platform? Because we're gonna be honest, I know coaches are coming on, but we gotta be honest. That is something that we really don't put in our regimen either. Because I coached for over 10 and a half years, and it wasn't until afterwards I was like, I could have did better for my youth. I could have did better for them.
mm,
So what is your thoughts of possibly why we don't implement that in?
I don't know for our just African American culture, I feel like we're so built on we gotta do this, we gotta do that, we gotta fight through it, we just gotta break through these walls. We're gonna all the obstacles till we die. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's
Keep
like,
pushing, keep pushing.
yeah, yes. But I mean, personally, what I'm seeing within myself and what I'm challenging myself for the next coaching job I'm gonna get is I'm gonna do better at boundaries of putting the phone on do not disturb at a certain time, and I'll get back to them the next day. Like I need to just block out that time for me. That makes sense.
Mhm, mhm.
And even like what you said, the things that I'm enjoying, I know, for instance, like working out, that's something that's a self care thing for me. Walking has become a new thing for me too.
Wow.
Like not really having a time limit, just walking at a leisure pace. It's a time to like talk to God, listen to music, or just think. And that's some just therapeutic for me mentally. And then also, I haven't done it in a while, but I want to get back to it. Is yoga. I used to do that all the time in college. I actually got into hot yoga, and I want to get that back in there. But honestly, and I'm sure it's the same for you. Like by the time you get home, you're just so like exhausted.
Right.
Some small for me, the self care. Literally, when I get home, I pull up in the garage. I literally sit in my car for like a 15-20 minutes just
I
to
wish
like.
we had a role play back to go, "Woo," because men just don't really understand how therapeutic that is, sit in your car. It's taking
Yes,
you to a whole nother level.
yes, it does. It
It's like the
does.
best thoughts come, you be like, "Ooh, okay."
Let
You're
me.
thinking about all this, yeah, "Let me put this down," and it's just like I guess the covering of just of the car, it's just like you
Mhm.
cover, you're in a centerpiece area, nobody's there to talk to you or bother you, and you just in that nature.
Yep.
So definitely it's so therapeutic. And I was laughing because you said hot yoga. And one of the young ladies, actually first guest on the Milton Game, which will be becoming a well, no, she is a co-host too and working towards of it, young lady. And she talked about hot yoga. She's been trying to get me to go to hot yoga probably for the last 3 weeks, but I keep getting busy. With things though, but it's on my schedule to get that hot
Yeah.
yoga in. So in the end, I'm kind of a little scared because she was like, "Yeah, they don't have the heater,
Percent.
the air on." I'm like,
Yeah,
"What?
yeah.
What do you mean?
You gonna be good though. You be fine.
Really?" I'm like, "Look, I want my locks to over sweater now."
Right. Just don't go when you got a fresh V twist. Like go a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be then, like
Yeah.
you said, a fresh free twist. And one thing you hit on too, as you said, was boundaries. Coaches. Boundaries is something that we must do, and we sometimes lack because we see so much for our youth. We want so much for
Mm.
them, but we lack those. So more in detail, what is your thoughts that coaches should have as boundaries, so from some things you experience?
I think especially the previous school I was at, it was a Title I school, inner city school. So there was a lot of times where I was like the Uber driver. I was the mom, the sister, coach, just counselor, therapist, all that in between. And I know my first year I struggled with boundaries because the things that my girls were telling me, I would take home with me. I would bring it home. I would be exhausted. I would be crying. And then
Mhm.
my second year, I learned how to just take that boundary line. But okay, thank you for telling me, but I need to separate. You get what I mean? Or
Yeah.
sometimes I made a contract actually for the rise. I said, "Look, I live 30 minutes from this school. You guys live 1 mile. There's if you don't give me 24 hours in advance notice you need a ride, I'm not taking you. I'm not picking you up. I'm not dropping
Yeah.
you off." And that's something that I had to create a boundary line of. I have a big heart, so of course I want to take everybody home who doesn't have a ride.
Right.
But I mean, when I tell you my first year, I was exhausted because I was getting, I got to school like 6:30 in the morning. You're leaving like 8 o'clock at night. That's a practice, and then like it's a game night. You getting home 11 o'clock at night.
And
So it's
redoing it over and over again.
exactly, and that's your gas money too. The school's not
Right.
paying for that. So that's something small but big that will go well with just mentally too that I learned.
Right. No, no, like you said, because that's gas. And we're gonna be honest, you guys, especially when my athletes look at that. I always tell my athletes, you guys, that stipend that they pay for sports, it doesn't mount up to the time that you put in. It doesn't
Mhm.
mount up to the time, as you said, that the overload of thinking and taking home problems and situation, it does not add up of what we have to go through as coaches, being a sister, the mentor, and then also mentor to some of the parents too that don't understand sports.
Yeah.
To be honest, because it's a lot of those. So those are big things, and it takes a lot. And people only see it's, oh, you're the coach, so you should do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And also, the kids do that because once you pour yourself into them, they start to expect that as well. So, one of the biggest things I heard you said also taking, not having to have all that mental part on you. So, I've been asking a lot of coaches and teachers that I talk to, do you believe, even within the high school, is it prevalent to have like sports mental health coaches or just mental health coaches? As myself, that's something that I do. And I'm in the midst of breaking those barriers, getting into schools, but they really feel a lot of them is not needed.
Mm. No, that's why when I met you, I was like, "I need your number right now because I need you." And I will be hitting you up when I have this next job. I'm hitting you up. I
Absolutely.
think it is one of the if I had like a top list of people you need as a high school coach, even college, it would be a mental coach, or
Mhm.
some call it character coach, a
Yes.
spiritual coach before too. I think it is very, very, very much needed. I actually partner with a group called Season Builder in Huntsville, and they do that. They're mental coaches. They give you a plan to be intentional with your team. They give you actually goals for each week.
Mm.
So, like for instance, I said before I talked about my players are B3 players. They believe, effort, encourage, and enjoy. So they got with me. We partnered up, and then like for instance, effort was the word for 2 weeks. So part what Season Builder does, they give you things to do intentionally. So
Mm.
like one was like they had to have homework, and at the end of the week, they had to tell me something they did outside of basketball that they put their full effort into.
I
Stuff
love
like
it.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, it is so needed. A spiritual coach, character coach, mental coach, whatever you want to call it, they are needed
Right.
because as a coach, of course, like we can try to do that too. But it's like we've got so much when we can
Mhm.
lean on somebody else to partner. The kids can get a break from us because they sometimes need a break from their coach.
Definitely.
They get a new face, new environment, new just vibe, something different, and they're working on their mental. Oh man, I wish more high school they would.
Yeah, I think it would take the game to a whole nother level. Where it is
Oh,
taking the
for
game
sure.
to a whole nother level, the ones that
Mhm.
devote that time into it and making sure, because
Yeah,
you said it makes the coach better because the coach is able to release and get that guidance from that mental coach or spiritual coach, as you said, because
mhm,
they have someone else talking to them. And at the time, it is a balance within the relationships at coaches.
Yeah.
People don't understand that, but you have to put a balance, like you said, barriers with that, okay, I'm your coach. I get information, but you need to talk to this person too, and you need to gain that information
Yeah.
on that part. So, but what would you say? Would you say though, self care is it good and needed for the coaches too as well? Just that mental aspect.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I know the coach, the boys coach that I worked with at the last school I was at, Jemison. He was, I mean, I admired him because he was so big about I'm gonna take a break, or he would always communicate like, "Hey, my phone's gonna be off." Or I remember one time he took like a nice vacation, like a week off. I was like, "Man, can I be you?" And he was like, "You can do it too." And I was like, but he's right. It takes the point of you looking at your schedule and saying, I'm going out of town, or I am taking a self-care day. I'm put a personal leave. I'm not coming in today. Because I did that for actually my birthday was it last week, April 25th, a couple days ago.
Yes,
Anyway, it's crazy. But I never take off work, and I did on my birthday, and I did absolutely nothing. I went to go eat, came home, watched a movie, went for a walk, came back to my birthday. But I told myself, I'm like, it shouldn't take my birthday for you to check
something
out and say, I'm gonna take care of me. You know what
yeah,
I mean? It should
definitely.
be someone else gave me it was like a good quote or whatever, and basically was saying you shouldn't have to wait for the weekend to do something for you. They're
Right.
like, you can find something on a Tuesday, you can find something on Thursday, and that's something that I've been challenging myself with. One day out the week, I try to do something for me.
Definitely taking time for you is
Mhm.
so important and needed. And with that taking time, because like I said, you do a lot. One of the biggest things I want to get to is ESOL, making
Mhm.
sure I'm saying it right. So tell a little bit about that because understanding that you are, a coach, but you play so many different roles and things. So just giving the audience a little bit about what you do in that aspect.
Yeah, ESOL, so English as a second language, or English speakers of other languages, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So all of my students are not from the United States of America. They are from all over the world. And it's really, really neat. So I speak Spanish, and that was actually the reason why that was my undergrad in college, is because I wanted to know what it felt like to learn a second language. So me playing in Spain was a total God thing, because that's where I really learn the language.
Mhm.
And yeah, so again, like the school, I'm out now at Whitesburg Middle, but the previous school I was at, Jemison, for instance, all of my kids were Spanish speakers. They're
Wow.
from Guatemala, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Honduras. It was a really neat experience. But imagine this. So I had 22 kids in that class. None of them spoke a lick of English.
Wow.
And yeah, my class was a total just different culture. That school
Mhm.
was pretty much 98%, no, maybe 90% African American, I think. I don't remember. But anyway, they had a sense of home when they were in my class. I spoke Spanish, so we were able to have community because once they left my classroom, they went to silent mode because they didn't have anyone else that spoke their language. Thankfully, sometimes the counselor will put like two people who speak the language so they can communicate to somebody. But no, I absolutely love it. Their ESOL students are probably the most hardworking students that you'll meet, just because for them, learning English is like survival. They
Wow.
know they're going to survive if they can learn English. So
Wow.
they are very disciplined. They are just absolutely just really, really good students. So like right now, I'm at Whitesburg Middle, which is a middle school in Huntsville, and again, most actually all of my ESL students are Spanish speakers. I think I have one that might be French.
Mhm.
But other than that, that's it.
I love it though because, like you said, you gave them an environment in school. You gave them a place and a feeling in school, being able to come and speak their language in there. And also, you said you stayed in Spain, so
Mhm.
you was able to do the sports in Spain too, as well.
Yeah, yeah, I was, and then on top of that, I actually coached over in Spain too. So
Okay.
I was a teacher and a coach over there. I did English at an academy, and then I did a. It was actually like imagine one of those like prep schools where the boys wear the suit with the tie and the high black socks, like how you
Mhm.
see in the movies. Well, I was actually a coach for the sixth grade boys team over that school. It was all boys school. It was super impressive. But while I was there, I was there in the mornings. and then I would do pull-outs as well for English. I would take like 2 kids at a time, 15 minutes, and practice English with them, and then I would leave there and go to this academy that was
Mhm.
ages it was like I had kindergarten all the way to adults. Did that for probably to like 8 o'clock, and then I went to practice.
Yeah.
So I Spain definitely prepared me for this what I'm doing now for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You did a lot. You did a lot. Kudos to you, girl. Like, woo. And then at such a young age, being able to do that too. So, would you say, looking back now, what are some disparities between coaching boys and girls that you noticed or that you ran into?
Mm. You know, if I'm really honest with you, my end goal actually is to coach boys. I want to be a boys varsity head coach one day. But the biggest differences I would say are girls are way more emotional than boys.
Mhm.
Um, Boys have a natural heart and desire and like a swag about them. Like you're not gonna beat me. Like
Mhm.
they got pride in them. Girls, especially the ones now in this generation, you find more who are doing it for social. So they
Mhm.
don't really care as much, if that makes sense. You might have to throw a little incentives to get them motivated
Uh-huh.
or stuff like that. Or you might have to have the cute little parties and just to get them excited about, you know what I
Invite
mean?
them in.
Yes, but the boys, it's just we're here to play ball. Let's go.
Yes. And I guess that's a big thing too, as we talk about that aspect of the mental part and emotional part. That
Mhm.
when you hear them say that females, we are very emotional about different things. Well, boys are already ready to go in and just, you ain't gonna beat me. This is my team. This is
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Where
Mhm.
our girls, it's like, okay, we have to prep them to get that emotional part. And that's something that I'm always talking to parents about. You have to build that emotional aspect and that confidence early, because when they don't have it, they hide it in the, I just
Mhm.
want to party. I just want to get on
Yeah.
TikTok. I just want to be around friends. Where as coaches, we like, I need you to play. You can do that
Yeah,
afterwards.
no,
I
it's
need
cool.
you to play. Yeah. On that. So that is a huge thing. And kudos, I coach, I had the pleasure of coaching some young males that are in high school doing some great things. So I understand. I do love that aspect because, like you said, just like any players, but those guys has a different level of just running through that brick wall when they want to go get
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
So I know it's a different area in a different country, but as we talk again about disparities, was there a different pays? Did you see the difference of the boys getting stuff compared to, is there a home when you need things for the girls? Was there any difference in that area?
No, because Spain is interesting because most of them they do club teams. Like since I was sixth grade, they had a sixth grade team, but it was like in a club type organization. It wasn't
Okay,
against all the schools. But I saw from my eyes, it was fair treatment on both sides.
I love it.
Honestly, I would say where I was is I lived in Bilbao, Spain. It's like northern Spain. They really love basketball over there, and they did show love to the women's sports over there just as they did for the boys.
Okay.
And actually, I would say for the younger kids, like middle school, high school, it was very involved, which I was impressed with for sure.
I love it. So, hey, Spain, we thank you guys for
Mhm.
that support showing for both males and females because
Mhm.
we are growing and we need that here. And that's something leading into, where do you see and where would you like female sports to go? Just looking at everything, how all
Mhm.
the things are changing. What is your thoughts on that aspect?
Well, that's a really good question. I like where women's sports is going. I feel like women's sports is finally getting more recognition, getting more appreciated.
Yeah.
Now, basketball, WNBA, I don't know how long that one's gonna take.
Hmm.
I really don't. Because even seeing on Twitter, there was like a flyer, not flyer, but it was like an announcement about Angel Reese, how she was basically saying, I'm not even thinking about WNBA right now. I'm making more money now than I would be if I was in the league. And I'm
Definitely.
like, man, because she's a what, sophomore or junior?
Sophomore.
Sophomore.
And
So it's
she's
like,
over 300,000 that she's making. Over
exactly.
300,000.
I mean, I was like, shoot, if I'm her, I might purposely try to hurt myself.
I'm doing 5 years in college. 5.
Right?
Let me get that 5th year in.
But I personally hope to see the WNBA get paid
Mhm.
more
Definitely.
and show some more love. And I don't get it because it's interesting. March Madness. seeing how many people come out to
Mhm.
Final Four, Sweet 16, or even when it's hosted at their home school, it's like, where do all these fans go when the top player goes to WNBA? Like, they just
Definitely.
stop following? Is it because the look of the WNBA is like, what is the issue? So that one I don't see changing anytime soon, but I do see how college sports is
Mhm.
vastly changing with the recognition of the woman, even other professional sports like soccer.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're getting more love than what they did in the past, and people are starting to show appreciation. Track as well. That's a big one. But
Hockey is actually no, it's golf. A young Caucasian lady, she's making the most over injuries. She's the top one, and she's already like close to 1,000,000
oh,
on
wow.
it. So yes, like I said, it's really propelling in such a positive way. But
Yeah.
I love what you said about what is it, and that's a dynamic too. So you guys, when you watch this, I know some amazing people, Miss Billie Jean, that helped out with women's sports. All you sports commentators, we are receiving that this is going to go far with this podcast. What are some thoughts on why is it? Like you said, I want to know too, and definitely I'll
Mhm.
be looking into it. What is the breakdown when they get to the WNBA? How does that goes from selling out college arenas to barely or 3/4% in the WNBA?
Mhm.
Where do we get that from down there? And as yourself though, being a female and being in the aspect of coaches, do you believe this is helping push more female coaches, or is it going to be a better feel? Like, what is your thoughts or any thoughts on that aspect?
I don't know if it'll help push for more female coaches. And that also is a great point. In the WNBA, there are more male
Yeah.
coaches. That's a great point. Even in college, more male coaches. I think the SEC might have the most females. I would love to see the sticks on that, but I feel like they might. But I don't know what it's gonna take. Because even high school, in majority male coaches. I
Right.
thought about it when I was training a girl last week, and she was like, "You're my first female trainer coach I've ever had."
Mhm.
And I thought about it, I'm like, when I was growing up, I never had a female trainer.
Yeah,
Never had
me,
one, and I don't think I ever no, I wasn't even coached. I've never been coached by a female.
nope.
So it's
I
interesting.
know. Yeah, I wasn't either, but that's one of the things one of Ole Miss players said off one of their press release, and they asked her why did they want to come and play for Coach Yo, and the girl said, I wanted someone that looked like me, understand
Mm,
and know how I think as a person. So
yeah.
that's why I wanted to come. She was like, no offense, to the other coaches, but I do better with someone that understands me as a female. And I
Mhm,
kind of resonated with that because you want someone that has that aspect. Me, when I coach male and female, yes, it was there, but my babies always came to me, and that was a big thing with the coach. He was just like, "Why they
yeah.
always coming to you and talking to you?" Because it's a different form of relationship that we understand. And one
Mhm,
of the coaches, he was just like, I just, I don't get it. I make sure I do everything like you and everything." And I asked him, I said, "How many times a day?" And this may be a little bit too much for you guys. How many times a day do you change your pad? And he was like, "Never." I said, "My point exactly."
yeah, yeah,
How many
that's
cramps
good.
do you have a day?
Yep,
He's like,
that's
"Man,
good.
that ain't gonna do." I know it is. It's
Mhm,
emotional attachment that we understand some things on that aspect, so it's
yep,
very big.
yep,
So that
for
kind of
sure.
brighten them up a little bit to think about that, like, we go through things and want to relate as females. So getting that because we've just been having some great conversation. I just love it. I love this. So if you had a young lady that you was speaking to, and she was just talking about things that she need to do just to be prepared to play for high school, what would be some encouraging things that you can tell her just that she needs to do to prepare herself mentally,
Mhm.
physically, emotional? What would be your thoughts?
The first thing that pops in my mind when you're just saying that is actually know who you are.
Mm,
That is a big one just because if you're coming in as a freshman on a varsity team, you're going to have seniors who are just set in their ways and they might try to sway you this way or that way. You're going to have other freshmen with you that are kind of all like lost puppies. Who do we follow? And so you have to know who you are. What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of player do you want to be? Because that's what you'll know who to watch on the team. Like you'll know if there's that senior who's lazy as all get out, coach always has to yell at, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know not to follow her or watch her. But you have
Mhm.
that workhorse, the one that's maybe a junior and been starting since she was a freshman. Okay, that's a person to follow what she's doing physically. Maybe sit down with her, blah blah. But knowing who you are is a big one, big time, big time, big time. Just because also off the court, temptation in the classroom, boys, girls, whatever, all the different stuff that goes on in high school. It's just
Yes,
knowing who you are. I feel like sums up everything under a
definitely.
little umbrella. If you know what I mean.
I love it. I love it. Know who you are. Be self-aware. Self-awareness is
Mhm.
key because self-awareness builds that confidence, that
Yeah,
competence. As I always say, my 6 C's of being able to be capable and competent of who you are as a person. There's so much more that goes into that.
yeah,
So thank you for those words to being able. So you guys hear self-awareness, be that person to know who you are. And as we leave, just kind of tell the people where can they find you, because I want you guys to know we didn't even get in detail of the gardening and everything else she does. So we're gonna have to bring you back on just to specifically talk about that, because fresh fruit, fresh food is so needed.
mhm.
So tell the people where they can follow you. I know with that on there, you have donations set up too on there. If they can drop donations, just give people information on how to help out.
Yeah, if you want to know more information about my nonprofit Redeemed, you can go to youareredeemed.com and get more information on there. And then you can follow me on Instagram. It's just Sierra underscore Levon underscore Jones. I'm on Facebook and Twitter, same name. And yeah, if you want more information about the nonprofit, feel free to follow the page on Instagram. It's the same thing, You Are Redeemed Incorporated. So.
Love it. And it will be up under. So you guys will have all the information up under there. So you guys can reach out to her and get more information. But we have had a great time.
Yeah.
It's just the start of many. So we want to
Mhm.
thank you so much, Ms. Jones, for coming on and blessing us on the mental game. We look forward to seeing you back because we gotta always bring back, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's always you guys, it's all about mental, and don't just talk about changing positivity, be a doer of positivity. You
Mhm.
guys have a good one.